Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Socially Disconnected Podcast, episode 9. I am back. I know what you're thinking. Why do I have on this hat? Unless you're listening to the video version or the audio version, then you don't know that I have on a hat. Okay, I have on a hat. I'm just going to put a picture up to explain why I have on a hat. If you're listening to the audio version, I ain't seen my barber in it's been a good while. It's been a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. But I got a hat on to save everybody from having to witness that. But you know, the picture is a good description of what my head looks like without a hat. So yeah, until I get a haircut, I will be wearing hats. I don't know what else to say. I hope you're all having a great day. Hope everybody's is living, breathing, eating. I know gas prices is up, so I know some of y'all like, God damn, bit. But I hope everything is well with you guys. Today we have a full slate of things to talk about. This will probably be stopped at like 40 minutes. We'll see how long we can have this discussion. The main point of this today is I want to talk about some of the awkward celebrity interactions I've had, but we'll talk about that kind of down the line. First things first, I want to say rest in peace, Razor Ramon. If you don't know who Razor Ramon is, one of the coolest, swaggiest wrestlers I've ever seen. My favorite Razor Ramon's, first of all, my favorite matches. I know he's had a lot of great matches, but him versus Shawn Michaels for that Intercontinental, like the unification of Intercontinental titles in the ladder match, the very first ladder match, just poetry in motion. And he did win that fight. He won that match, so that was great. There was one moment, I think this took place in WCW. Somebody threw a drink at him and it hit him in the side of the head, right? Now, if I get hit in the side of the head with a drink, I'm mad. I'm pissed. I'm like, who hit me with that drink? Who hit me in the head with that drink? Like, I'm absolutely angry. But what does he do? He just smooths it through his hair and looks directly at the camera and just says, ooh. Like, that's some of the coolest shit ever. So RIP to Razor Ramon. I can't say that he was a big part of my childhood because Razor Ramon kind of came after, or he came before me watching wrestling. Like, he's one of the older wrestlers for me. But I have gone back and watched some Razor Ramon, and I really liked his swagger. So RIP Razor Ramon. Yeah. So also, okay, I want to talk about animals for a second because there's something that's been burning in my spirit. That's been burning me. I got to take off my glasses real quick for this. I'm lying. I can't see. I got to put my glasses back on. Listen, if you know me, if you actually know me, my favorite animal on this planet are hedgehogs. So have you ever seen a hedgehog? Okay, I know when you think about hedgehog, the first thing you think is Sonic the Hedgehog. No, Sonic's trash. We don't need to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm talking about this nice little cute little spiky little hedgehog. Okay, I have wanted a hedgehog all my life. Okay, I have always wanted a hedgehog. So I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna buy one. Okay, this is the time for me to get a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are illegal in the state of Georgia. Why? This is one of the weirdest. I feel like this law was made primarily for me. This is a law they put against me personally. Now, they knew that growing up, I was like, bro, I want a hedgehog. I really like, people want cats, they want dogs, they want snakes, they want fish, they want turtles, or gerbils and hamsters. I wanted a goddamn hedgehog. And I finally got old enough to go and get me a damn hedgehog. I was going to treat that hedgehog like my child. That hedgehog was going to be my son and or daughter, depending on what was the sex of the hedgehog, okay? I can't even get a goddamn hedgehog in this state because it is illegal to own a hedgehog. Apparently it's something to do if they get out, they ruin the fucking environment. Sorry, humans are ruining the environment worse than a fucking hedgehog could. So that sucks. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I promise you that, like, y'all don't understand. Like, I really want a hedgehog and I can't have one. So if I ever want a hedgehog, I gotta move to a different state that hedgehogs aren't illegal. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. Another thing I got to get off my chest, we're just going to call this whole section getting shit off my chest. Fuck Tom Brady, okay? Tom Brady get on my goddamn nerves. I won't make this long because I know a lot of y'all don't even watch football, okay? But if you also know, I'm an Atlanta Falcons football fan, which means I hate Tom Brady. As a Falcons fan, I'm obligated to hate Tom Brady, so therefore I hate Tom Brady. And guess what? Tom Brady finally retired. I was popping bottles, doing backflips. I ain't never hit a backflip a day in my life. I hit that shit as soon as Tom Brady announced he was retiring. I went my big ass outside and hit a triple goddamn backflip into the goddamn water. Okay. I was so goddamn happy. I popped bottles that I couldn't afford. I put that shit on my credit card. I was popping bottles, taking shots, fucking shooting off fireworks, pissing off my neighbors, fucking just throwing money that I needed to pick back up because I had to pay my rent. I was doing all kind of shit, okay? Because I was super duper happy that Tom Brady was fucking retiring. 4 weeks this motherfucker was at home. A grand total of 5 weeks, I believe. A grand total of 5 fucking weeks. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was at home for 5 weeks, okay? And this motherfucker looked at his kids, looked at his family, and was like, I think I'm gonna come back for another season. Stay your ass at home. You're old. Stay your old ass at home and be a family man. Stop fucking up my life. Go be with your kids. Watch them grow up. Go stop. Okay. I had to get that out of the way too. So that's it for Weeby's rants. Okay. I want a hedgehog. Fuck Tom Brady. That's it. That's it for all of my rants. Okay. I want to talk about some goals I have. Okay. Like I said, the bulk of this podcast, we're going to talk about the most awkward celebrity interactions I've had. So I've had some celebrity interactions, and they have, if I'm being honest, they have not been great. Okay. If you don't know, I'm very interested in doing a stand-up set. I have not done one yet. It's one of those things. You know how you tell yourself you really want to do something, and then you just procrastinate. Next thing you know, it's been like 4 years. That's me with stand-up. Okay. I have written literal stand-up sets, right? There was one time in like the midst of like the rating racist TikToks that I had written an entire stand-up set and I had recorded it. And I recorded it all. This is so stupid. I recorded the whole stand-up set from my toilet. It was the worst video I've ever recorded. It looked nice, right? Because I edited it to be nice. And it was really like, it was a 45-minute stand-up set directly from my toilet. And it was really awkward because obviously there's no fucking crowd, so I'm just telling jokes to the camera, and I'm just like, I hope people are laughing when I say this joke. I hope it's funny. So that was really awkward. And it was just like, I recorded it. Like, let's say I'll say a joke, and then I'll wait. Because I'm like, here's laughter supposed to be here. But what if it wasn't funny that nobody laughed? And I remember cringing so hard when I edited it that I deleted it. I was just going to get to it. I deleted it. It was just really weird and really cringe. I think my fear with like, first of all, being funny doesn't make you a good stand-up comedian. I think a lot of people confuse that. Like, a lot of people be like, I make funny videos and I'm funny. But then they find that, like, doing stand-up comedy is like an art form. Like, it's not like, just because you're funny doesn't mean you can go on stage and do a stand-up set that people are going to laugh. You can be a great, like, you could be I was the class clown in school. Like, I was making people crack up. Okay, that's cool. How are you going to translate that into like stand-up comedy? And for me, the best stand-up comedy is like something that's relatable for me, right? If you're just going on stage and you're just rapid fire telling like jokes with like no cohesion, right? Like if you're just being like, yeah, duck in the hat, flipping the flap, like there's only a small amount of comedians who can just go up and talk about like shit like this is like that has no story. Like most of the comedians I like when they're doing stand up, they're like telling stories and shit. I'm just like, this is funny. Like it's very rare for me that I like a comedian who's just like shooting shit. Um, and I find that that's the hardest form of stand up comedy to actually do. So a lot of people believe that like because they're funny, they can go up stage and just they can go on stage and just say a bunch of random shit and people are gonna laugh. You are in for a rude awakening. You go on stage and you do shippity shoop shot she, and people just like boo. That shit crushes your goddamn spirit. I think for me, the hurdle that I'm having is like I think my material is okay, right? Um, One, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to certain things. I know it might not seem that way, but like the I guess like how my videos are like a lot of my videos are unedited. I just kind of throw them up and stuff like that. I'm making more structure. First of all, let me say this, okay? I'm making more structured content, okay? I have a cooking show I've been wanting to do. I'm gonna actually work on that. I'm building out a list of places I want to try. So okay, food show is coming soon, okay? I've been working on. There's a lot of structured content that I would like to do. Um I don't know. I just want. I'm gonna do more structured content. It just seems like I just do a bunch of random shit now, which is true. I just do a bunch of random shit, but I promise you, the podcast is kind of the start of like very structured content on this channel. Anywho, um, for me, there's certain things I'm like a big perfectionist on, and like jokes and comedy is like one of those things. Like it's very like being funny kind of comes natural to me like when I'm making videos and stuff like that. But if I'm writing a joke and I'm just like if I'm not dying laughing at it, I'm like this isn't funny enough. So I'm like constantly like writing jokes and like fucking throw them in trash and like well not throw them in trash but like essentially just like writing jokes and put them in a word document and erasing them because I'm just like this ain't funny enough. So there's that aspect. Then there's also the aspect of like just getting on stage in front of people. Like I don't consider myself to have stage fright at all. I think I'm perfectly fine with talking in front of people and like I don't consider myself I consider myself a an introvert with extrovert qualities. I don't know what you would actually call that. And I'm sure there's a thing for it. Like I don't have an issue. Like I can go through and have like I think I can go through the process of standing on stage and like telling jokes. But what I don't think like what I'm struggling to get through, right? Is what if I like the thought process of like the worst possible case scenario. I'm like, what if I go up there and just tell these jokes and they're not funny, nobody laughs? And the smart part of me is like, hey, that's okay. Like you went up there, you did it. You can learn from it. It's a learning experience. Like you can improve. And then the other part of me is just like, well, you're never going to do it again. So it's like an eternal battle that I have with myself where it's like, do I want to like, I don't know. Like it's something I 100% want to do. And I want to try. Even if I fail, I want to try it. But it's about like kind of getting over that like hurdle of being like, like actually solidifying material and just not like erasing shit like every 5 seconds. And that's just like the creative part of me. And it happens when I'm writing like show ideas too. Where I'm like writing them down and I'm erasing them. I'm just like, this is not funny enough. So it's kind of like getting over that specific hurdle. So yeah, I think stand up is something that I really want to like try. There's multiple things I want to try. I think stand up is kind of the big one I want to try. And voice acting is the other thing I've wanted to try. Voice acting I've taken classes for. So voice acting is something I want to do. I think at this point with voice acting is really like taking more classes, doing more research, and building out a portfolio. I think voice acting for me is a little. I'm gonna say it's a little easier for me to do because I don't have to stand in front of people with a voice act like Like, I mean, sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm just like, I could just send people like my shit and be like, hey, like, do you like this? Or I can do this, or here's my audition. Like, I'm not like standing in front of like 30 or 40 people and being like, here's some jokes that you might laugh at. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of food for thought for me. But piggybacking off of stand-ups, I want to talk about my favorite stand-up sets. I love stand-up comedy. There are some sets that are really funny to me. Um, my favorite stand up. So let's do this, and I'm curious as to what y'all think too. Like let's do favorite stand up set and favorite joke. Okay. Um. So I think my favorite stand up set is Elephant in the Room, Patrice O'Neal. That is such a flawless set. I will always praise that set. Um, dude, there's so many sets I like. I like Kevin Hart's first and second set. I'm not a big fan of his third. I think he has like five. I'm not a big fan of the third, fourth, and fifth one, but I do like the first two a lot. Um, Cat Williams, is it the Pimp Chronicles? I like the Pimp Chronicles. The Pimp Chronicles is funny. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big fan of Raw and Delirious. I get the impact of Raw and Delirious. I get it. But I'm not a big fan of Raw and Delirious. Like I like them, and I watch them, and I just don't. I'm like, these are okay. Um, I've not watched a lot of Richard Pryor, so I can't really comment on Richard Pryor. But yeah, Raw and Delirious in particular, I don't know. I just don't find those super funny. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Eddie Griffin does really good stand up. Jamie Foxx is underrated stand up. Like, can we talk about Jamie Foxx for a second? Jamie Foxx is so underrated in what he does. He's first of all, he's a great comedian, right? Jamie Foxx is funny as hell. He's a great actor. Come on, you seen Django, okay? Not just Django. He's in a ton. Jamie Foxx in a ton of movies. If you ever seen the Jamie Foxx show? That show is funny as hell. But obviously he's a great musician. Like people just forget that Jamie Foxx is a really good musician. I think what makes Jamie Foxx's comedy like stand up unique is that he has a skill that not a lot of other stand up comedians. First of all, I don't think any other stand up comedian can really do what he does because I don't think any other stand up comedian can sing as well as Jamie Foxx. So he has an entire pool, like he has an entirely separate talent that he can dig into when he's like doing stand up. So when he's doing his stand up and he's doing like the songs and he's incorporating into jokes, you're just like, only Jamie Foxx can do this. And that's why I think he's super duper. Killing Him Softly is my favorite Dave Chappelle stand up. I don't think that that'll ever be touched. The Chris Rock's, what is the special called? Is it Bring the Pain or something like that? Whatever special that is by Chris Rock is one of the greatest stand-up specials of all time. I don't know why, but people seem to forget that Chris Rock does really good stand-up. I think like a lot of the new age people just know him from movies, but like Chris Rock is a stand-up comedian first and through. So one of the funniest motherfuckers on this planet. I think he's gonna start touring soon. So I think he's actually he's coming back for a new set. So Chris Rock, Steve Martin actually has a good stand-up set, which I find weird. But Steve Martin did a set like I want to say it was in the maybe in the 80s. That's actually pretty funny. An underrated set I actually like. I actually like Childish Gambino's or whatever the hell you want. I'm just gonna call him Donald Glover set. He had a comedy special on Comedy Central that was really funny. I think that was underrated. He's a good stand-up comedian too. It's kind of a shame he only did one special, but he like does like this dude does everything. So he has a really good special that I liked. Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac has so many good sets. The Kings of Comedy set, the damn Def Jam comedy set. Where he's like, I ain't scared of you, like, just so good. Bernie Mac just always hits. Bernie Mac jokes, they just will always hit for me. There's so many good stand-up comedians. There's so many great sets. In terms of jokes, Cat Williams jokes with like the white people like drinking. That's a good joke. Uh, the the milk and cookies Bernie Mac joke is good. Um, the terrorists don't kidnap black people by Dave Chappelle is good. Oh, dude, there's so many comedians I'm like missing, right? There's so many comedians that are just like slipping my mind. That are so goddamn funny. And I'm gonna be so upset because there's so many comedians that like are like because I watch so much stand-up comedy. Like there's there's so many funny people, right? So I'm naming the ones that like are like coming directly off the top of my head. But there's so many good sets. There's so many good stand-up comedians, and I constantly watch the sets because I like to laugh. Um, but my brain just can't remember like all of them exactly. I know a lot of people will say like, what's a big one people will say? Um, Bill Burr will be a big one. Bill Burr is funny. Bill Burr is funny as hell. I don't know how I didn't say Bill Burr. Dude, there's so many. So yeah, let me know y'all favorite stand up set or stand up joke. I don't know, I'm just a big fan of stand up comedy, and I wanted to talk about it. Um, Now I want to transition into goals for the podcast. Now this podcast, I obviously want to get consistent with. I want to do, I want to do more. I think I'm gonna do a bunch of solo episodes. Like I think the big thing for me is getting the consistency down before I start to try to do other stuff. Because it won't matter if I like try to do all this other stuff and then I post like a podcast once every 3 months. Or in this case, I posted the last podcast 2 weeks ago, and then before that, it was like 5 months had passed. So I think first it's good for me to do these like solo so I can get the consistency now. And then eventually I think it'll be good to have a co-host. Well, I do find myself to be interesting. I think it'll be nice to have like a co-host to kind of bounce topics off of and just kind of talk to. Because I find those to be the most entertaining podcasts. Yes, I find myself to be entertaining talking to myself. Uh, but I think it could be better if I have somebody there and I can like be like, hey, like we can bounce and have different ideas and like I don't know. I just found that idea of a co-host to be the best course of action when it comes to podcasts. So eventually down the line, I do want to get a co-host. That's kind of that's the big thing, right? That's kind of the big thing I want to do. Down the line, obviously, there's a couple of other things I want to do, but I think the big thing for now is kind of finding a co-host that I vibe with, and that I feel like, first of all, they have to be as consistent as me. They have to like our personalities like have to get along, right? Um, I don't know. I find that I'm personally an easy person to get along with, but I find it will be more interesting if a like obviously we have chemistry, like good chemistry, and B we aren't like butting heads. So I don't know. I'll figure that out, but I definitely think that I want to get a co-host on the podcast. Not sure who that will be. That will probably come from my friends. But if for some reason none of my friends could do it, I don't know. I'll figure something out. But yeah, that's the big thing. I want to kind of get a co-host. I want to develop a concept for the podcast too. Like, yeah, me talking and discussing shit is cool because it's me, right? But at the same time, I find that a concept could also make it more interesting. Like I'm not gonna have people in here taking 40 shots, getting drunk and dying in here. Like I don't want that to happen. But I do want a kind of a concept for the podcast that I can find interesting. And I've been playing around with a couple ideas, but it all starts with consistency, and I want to be more consistent. But the big thing you've all come here for, story time with Weeby and my most awkward celebrity interactions. So who do I start with? So let's start with TJ. I think his name is TJ Miller. He's in Deadpool. He's the dude in Deadpool. So I remember he can't. I worked at a movie theater, right? And this is Deadpool had came out, or Deadpool had been out for a minute, And he was in another movie. I think it was called like Holiday Christmas. It was some Christmas movie, I think. And he wanted to rent out our entire theater for it. Obviously, my boss was like, dude, yeah, of course. Let me set that up for you. So my boss was like, yeah, you just got to ball of tickets in the theater and stuff like that. And I get you whatever. So they were going through all that. So I'm the person that like is printing the tickets and stuff like that. And I was like, my boss is doing most of like the talking on the phone, but like I was doing like I was helping like basically I was doing all of the hard stuff. My boss was just doing like the stuff that he was telling him what I was doing. So I felt like I was doing a lot of the work, right? So he gets up there. Pretty nice dude, right? At least from what I saw. I don't know what he's doing in his free time. I don't know what he got going on. He could be having some type of trouble. I don't know. He seemed like a pretty nice dude when I met him. So I give him the tickets or whatever, which he really didn't need. And it wasn't like he had a big group of people. I'm pretty sure it was like just him and like a few other people, but like he obviously he just wanted that privacy to himself. So he comes in and he's like, dude, thank you so much, right? He's like, I gotta get you something. So he has on his Deadpool hat, he takes it off, he signs it, and he gives it to my manager. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I did all the work. So I mean, I'm like, shit, shit, maybe I'll get something, you know? I'm rubbing my hands in the back like Burr, man. I'm gonna I let out because I'm like, shit, if he got a hat, and that something has to be coming. I mean, I did all the work, you know. He dropped a Deadpool sweater, Deadpool shirt, you know. Tell Ryan Reynolds I said what's up, something, you know. So he gives my manager the hat, and I'm like, okay. So he leaves. He's like, okay, I'll be back. So my manager, like, he's smiling and stuff, and he like, oh yeah, that's so cool. He gave me a hat, and he was like, yeah, he probably gonna bring you something too. So I'm like, you know. All right, cool. So I'm like, you know, I ain't gonna be like, I ain't want to look like, you know, like I was begging or no shit like that. But I was like, come on, man, break me on a little something, you know, break me on a little something, you know. So he comes back and he comes back with a shirt. So I'm like, bro, this has to be for me, right? This has to be for me. So he signs the shirt and he leaves it on the counter and he was like, okay, I'll be right back. So he leaves again. So I'm like, okay. I grabbed the shirt because I'm thinking, this me. This mine right here. Like I work for, I ain't gonna say I earned it because like what did I really earn? All I did was fucking help this motherfucker with tickets. So I'm like, this me. Okay. So I picked the shirt up. Okay, I'm finna try this motherfucker on. I'm like, shit, it look good. It's signed and shit. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah. Gonna sell that bitch on eBay. But in all seriousness, I'm like, okay, that's dope. So he comes back in with his like group and stuff like that. He's like, hey, like, where'd the shirt go? And I'm like, oh, you mean a shirt for me? I'm like, yeah, like I got it over here. I appreciate that. Like, thank you. And he starts to like, he chuckles a little bit. He's like, nah, dude, that's not for you. He's like, that's for one of my friends. They're gonna give it to their like kid or something like that. And I was like, swear. I didn't know what to say. And I was like, so I tried to play it off. And I was like, bro, I'm just joking, bro. Like, I didn't want to get like stuff on it because like, you know, like customers was coming up here and stuff. I didn't want to, you know, get something on it. And he was like, right. And so I was like, okay. And so I just handed him the shirt back. And my manager was there the whole time. And he was dying because there's a part of like what we call like the booth area. The ticket booth or whatever the hell you want to call it, where like it's like a blind spot. So like my manager is in the corner and he is like on the floor dying. And I'm dying too on the inside. So I give him the shirt. It's like, cool. And then he was leaving the movie and me and my manager was still out there. He said, peace out to my manager. And he didn't say nothing to me. So I was like, he think I'm a fucking thief. So that was really awkward. And that's just the start of my like awkwardness meeting celebrities. Second awkward situation, okay? First of all, I'm gonna put some good situations, some good stuff in here too, you know. I met Cam Newton, that was a nice guy. He was pretty cool. He was a dope dude. He told me I needed a haircut. I promise you, I swear to God, that's not a lie. He told me I needed a haircut. So, but he was nice. He dapped me up and he talked to me. He was like, "Dang, you need a haircut." But yeah. So just know I've been needing a haircut for a while. But we're gonna slide past that because he talked to me. He was a nice dude. He just told me the truth, and I needed to hear that. Next was this was, I don't know if this was the most awkward, but this one is up here. So Brett Favre, I was working at Whole Foods. Brett Favre comes through the line, okay? I'm like, oh shit, it's Brett Favre, okay? I'm like, I fucking know Brett Favre. He be throwing interceptions, okay? Anyway, I'm like, bro, Brett Favre be in a Wrangler jean commercials. So there's so many things. I'm bagging his like groceries, right? He didn't get a lot. Like he got like hot food and stuff like that. There's so many things I could have said to Brett Favre. There's so many things I could have said that would have been like, you know, I don't know, just would have been like not stupid. So instead of being like, bro, I'm a big fan of like you as a football player, I said, bro, you be killing them jean commercials. But I'll tell you, I could have said so many things like Brett Favre, bro, like you was a fire football player, like you was dope, like you should have got a ring, like who, like there's so many things I could have said or asked Brett Favre. It did, all I said was, bro, you be killing them jean commercials. And he looked at me and he said, thanks. That's cool. Can you make sure not to put this on top of this? And I was like, yeah. So I just kept bagging his groceries in silence. So it made it awkward the entire time. I just kept bagging his groceries. I was like, damn. Brett Favre think I'm like looking at his jeans or I ain't even say you. I was just like, bro, you be killing them jean commercials. Like, there were so many things I could have said. There was also this is nice. I met Jason Terry. Jason Terry was really cool though. I was also at Whole Foods. Yeah, so I met Jason Terry. That was cool. I met Andre 3000 very randomly. That's like the nicest dude I've ever met in my life. So I think that might be on, unless there's a celebrity that's slipping my mind. There has to be. There's at least two celebrities that are like completely slipping my mind. But those were like the main ones where I was just like, that Brett Favre situation just was like awful. I was thinking about that all day. Same with the TJ Miller one. I was thinking about that all day. I was just like, bro, they're going to like these celebrities. They probably don't ever think about this, but I'm in my mind. I'm like, bro, they probably think I'm weird as fuck. Okay, and I don't try to be weird. It just happens. So those were my weirdest celebrity interactions. I don't know if y'all was expecting more, but that was just like, I've met other celebrities. Like I've met a lot of bands, but like those aren't like awkward situations. Those are in chill environments, right? So I've met like bands, and I've met like underground music artists, and those people are dope as hell and they're cool. But yeah, those, something about like, I don't know, like actors and football players, I guess, are like, I'm just like, bruh, I'm awkward as hell. Hope y'all enjoyed this podcast episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to like. Please be sure to subscribe. If you're on Spotify, please be sure to, I think it's also like on Spotify, subscribe to the podcast. Helps me move up an algorithm, helps the podcast grow. Maybe I can afford some cream to put on this big ass bump that's on my goddamn face. I hope you all are having a great day, great night, great morning, great weekend, great afternoon. And remember, pass class, don't eat ass. I'm out this bitch.